All right, today we're going to be jumping back into the Bitcoin price action, starting off here in the really short-term time frame because once again we are seeing some exciting price action here on the charts and some interesting stuff in the order books, such as a spoof wall that was just placed over here on Binance USDT. You can see when we came up to make this initial high at the top of the range, we do see large spoof walls being placed into the order books. I know these are spoof walls because they were placed in after the high had come in. They clearly do not want these positions to be filled. And then on the contrary to spoof sell walls, we see potentially spoof buy walls. This is real interesting in here as well. We do see 1,000 Bitcoin buy walls being scattered in the order books. Not really sure what the market maker is planning to do with these walls. Not really sure if you can make much of it, but we do see, later on these spoof walls actually do signal kind of a bottom in here. We see these 1,000 Bitcoin walls starting to push up price. They're not getting filled. They're just spoofing the order books. And then as price starts into this next candle, you can see, spoof to force price up and then open interest decrease starting the short squeeze. So this is a capitulative move, right, of just short squeezing after price was artificially pushed up. Technically, that would be considered more of a bearish uptrend, and we are coming into this golden pocket that I had drawn. So we'll see if price does reject from this golden pocket or if we can actually flip it into support, sending price on up to a new local high because we are getting in to the top side of this range. Now we can see currently making very poor highs within here. This all needs to get swept. Now we also have this sweep level from back when we had our last FOMC meeting back over here. Big inefficiencies in the chart above this level that need to get grabbed. I would say if we do swing fail this liquidity level before rolling over, could be a little bit more bearish. We could do more than a CME gap fill. We could go down to sweep this bottom side liquidity that we've been talking about for some time. So that's always a possibility, but I think structure at this point has set a good low. I don't think that's going to get broken until we do enter the bear market, but we could come down to fill the CME gap. So if we do pull back now or even after this sweep, I think the next line of support that makes sense to go ahead and grab. If we go over here to our CME futures chart, you can see we have now created a small gap to the downside, sitting around $66,000, and that also comes right within your golden pocket swing low to swing high. So I think that makes a lot of sense to pull back to that level for a bullish correction. We also have this other CME gap on more of a macro golden pocket. So, both of these levels are still technically in play, right, for bullish corrections. So I would not be surprised if we were to come down to these levels. I will say this one, I don't think is going to get filled until we enter the bear market, but anything's possible. So keep these levels in the back of your head. And if we do go ahead and grab it, let's say during the weekend, right, any pullback we have going into the next 2 days, that's just going to create another CME gap to the upside, because whenever the market's closed on the weekend is when you're going to be creating these gaps. These gaps do get filled over 95% of the time, but it's not something that always has to happen within the next week or so. This could be something that, once again, we don't respect until we do enter the bear market. If my thesis does in fact play out, Wyckoff up thrust after distribution, this is your range high, swing fail, range high, and then come back within. That could just fill later on going into the fall season. Now what I want to go ahead and do is actually show you guys my XO charts, because we do have a bearish divergence over there on the CVD. So I'm going to transition this. You're seeing XO charts on the right over here is on a vertical monitor. So I think this is the best way to kind of show you the chart. And as you can see, when we come up to make this higher high on price, we do have lower highs on the CVD, indicating a potential exhaustion from buyers, and this is on 10 million volume candles. So essentially these candles do not open and close on a time basis, it's on a volume basis, and that's why you can see the times under here in the footprint chart. It's real tiny down here, so I don't know if you can see it, but these candles are anywhere from 1 minute duration to multiple hours of duration depending on what the volume is like at the time. And I have noticed that these divergences tend to play out a little bit more than your time-based ones. I still need to backtest that on all of the different exchanges in here, but that's actually something that I'm currently working on to get it out for my VIP Discord members. So go ahead and check that out in the description down below if you want those confluence trackers, where I do backtest historical price data to figure out what the best confluences are and give you the exact probabilities of them at the time. So I thought I would go ahead and share that. This could potentially be like a short setup, right? The probabilities are in your favor for that, as long as this seller right here, the smart money that is putting in the spoof wall, does know what he's doing, then we're probably going to see price fall. You know, we saw that short squeeze up into your golden pocket. That's usually a bearish indication. But as we talked about, liquidity is still sitting higher, so this would purely be a play just to close out potential late longers before bringing it up more. And that's why I would never take a short here. There's not the risk to reward in my favor. And what we're seeing on the price action is not necessarily bearish with this bounce back off the golden pocket. Whenever you flip these into resistance, you really want to see confirmation of that flip, right? You want to see it get back under and reject off golden pocket. Currently, we have gotten above the golden pocket and flipped it back into support. If this seller removes his walls, I guarantee you this price is probably just going to rip to the upside. But yeah, you certainly do have those CVD bear divs, not only on the volume based, but also time based as well. You see higher highs on these 30-minute candles, lower highs on the CVD on Binance USDT as well as Bybit USDT. These are the biggest volume perpetual contract pairs in all of crypto. So having CVD bear divs here can show exhaustion, but I have actually finished backtesting these throughout all of the historical price data within the current range that Bitcoin is in, and these are not super accurate. They're about 50 to 70% accuracy rates. So it would not surprise me if we're priced to continue to rip up on here. We could also have a third or fourth drive of that bear div. So if we saw price actually come and sweep this liquidity and get back under, and you had a third or fourth drive of that CVD bear div, as well as RSI bear divs on multiple time frames, etc., that would actually be a much better confluence for a short position. I don't like trading when you have a bunch of poor highs within here that you know are going to get swept, but after we do sweep them, if it's a proper swing failure pattern, that's a clear invalidation with a potential very good risk to reward trade, because you could be taking it all the way down to the bottom CME gap, not just this top one. So you do like swing failure, entry, stop loss, TP1, and then TP2. That's kind of an abstract trade idea you could potentially be looking at if you were to take your trade here, right? This is a very nice trade as well because you have very tight stop, right? Entry there, stop there, and then you're taking it to the first CME gap. So really both of them are valid. As I stated though, I just want a little bit more confirmation. I want us to actually get back under this golden pocket, actually flip it into resistance. And this would indicate a little bit of a higher probability setup in my opinion. Let's confirm those lower highs, lower lows on the 1 minute time frame. If we don't get that, this spoof could remove his wall, and then you're going to see a skyrocket up into that secondary sweep level. I will say when we zoom out on the charts though, structurally, like I've been saying, it makes more sense to kind of just magnet to that top side liquidity at this point. We definitely have some resistance above us for sure. Not going to say there isn't, but this liquidity at the top side is going to start getting hunted very quickly if we can start accepting into this volume. And I do think that is coming in the near-term future just based on the chart, how it is set up, right? Continual higher lows within here after making that daily bullish divergence we had talked about. This signals macro impulsive moves, and we are in that impulsive phase of the market where we should just be clearing through these levels like butter, such as when we left this previous range back in January when we had our first ETF. You see, as we start this impulsive move, a little bit of consolidation, and then we fire off into the highs. And the question is, are we going to do something like this again, or is it actually going to be a swing failure back within the range? That's what we'll be keeping a close eye on. And then we can look at more examples of just when we leave ranges. Big consolidation range within here. After we have our deviation to the downside, we fire off small corrective phase, and then we start just going absolutely parabolic, flying through the range. Once again, it should be very clear if this is not going to be a swing failure. We should just fly through it, and there's a good chance we don't even backtest the 74K level, and that would be a clear invalidation of my base case of that up thrust after distribution. So let's jump back over here to trading light, because it looks like these walls are potentially getting filled or they got removed. Let's see what it is. Looks like this wall actually got filled. Let me go over to the HD order book, and we can see price just melted through both of the walls. They got full filled, so this was not just a spoof wall. This was actually someone trying to limit in shorts. Okay, let's see if they're on the right side of the market, and this is going to be a sweep of the sweep. That's the play they're looking for, right? They see that there's a first high, and they want to grab liquidity above the high, sweep of the sweep. If this does not become a sweep structure, they're probably on the wrong side of the market, and they're going to get squeezed to the upside. So let's see how this does play out. If it's a true market maker, they're going to be adding back onto these walls. If it's just a retail whale, then they're going to get obliterated. But so far, if price is able to remain under these buyers, then this is going to turn into a failed auction. So this could be a really advantageous aggressive short position because your stop loss is literally nothing. Like, you're going to go ahead and pull your risk to reward here. You can put your stop right above this last sell wall and you're risking 0.05%. And I mean, you could really take this down to anywhere and you're going to have risk to reward in your favor. But there's a reason I'm not taking this, because once again, I'm not that aggressive when it comes to positions. I want at least a lower high, lower low on the 1 minute time frame, or I want a proper swing failure pattern. This was a potential failed auction that has now accepted back into an unfinished auction state where price is now trying to auction up higher. And let's see if we can see what happens with this absorption live. Is it going to be a sweep of the sweep? Or is this going to actually accept above and squeeze the limit sell orders that we have been looking at since the beginning of this video? So now we're starting to see seller imbalances. 161 Bitcoin versus 9 Bitcoin being sold. We now have a sell imbalance here. This is going to be a big level to watch. And we did actually create somewhat of a failed auction. We tried to auction right below these ticks, but on the top 5 ticks, yeah, we do see a nice clean failed auction there. So like I said, it could be a potential aggressive short position that you're taking with a very tight stop. This is something you could take 100 times in a row, and as long as you get one of them right, you'll be in the green. But inherently, that also means this is a very low probability setup. I would expect price to probably want to break through these sell walls unless they add, right? If this is a true market maker, they're going to start probably adding and they will force price down. But so far, we still got the higher lows. So this would be a real interesting case study here, right? Are we going to be able to maintain the higher lows, right? Let's see if price can bounce off of maybe the golden pocket, right? That's our mathematical level within here. If price holds above this and can even test this wall again, it's going to get broken as long as price doesn't just plummet below. So I'll give price like 5 minutes to react here, and then I do have to end the video so I can edit it and get it out to you all. But we're starting to see buy walls now in the golden pocket. Is that one person or is that an aggregate? It's an aggregate. You can see over here, these are smaller orders, not just one person. And that's why, you know, this HD vision is pretty good sometimes. And all right, we just saw another wall limited in, so this could be a market maker. Let's see how it does play out. Let's go back to the HD view. This wall was just taken out, I guess. He placed it and then removed it. Let me go over here to take off the footprint. Yeah, you can see this was just popped in for 1 second to try to force down price, and it did look like it worked, right? We got some big spoofing action going on in the charts right now. After this whale filled 2 of his limit sell orders, right? He's got 1,000 Bitcoin short going on right now, trying to force down price. But is he going to be able to get it under this golden pocket? And so far, price is not wanting to go below, but he did put in another spoof wall, so he's really aggressively trying to force down price. So almost making a lower low, and already you can see if you were to have taken this position, you could be taking profit because your stop was so tight, you know, 0.04% versus a 0.4%. That's already a 10-to-1 risk to reward, and you could have taken profit on this small of a move. This is like the only time I would say it's acceptable to do scalp trades. Normally I think scalping is mostly gambling, but sometimes if you get confluences for an insanely tight stop like this, well, there you go. That's your scalp trade, and you can walk away with a nice 10-to-1 risk to reward in about 5 minutes. But realistically, you'd actually be looking to take that much lower than current price right now. So we'll see how this does play out. I'll be kind of just watching this original golden pocket. Let's see if it actually gets back under. If it does, then potentially, you know, that's a good short position too. Your stop's up here. But as I said before, this is a poor high, and you'd basically just be taking this to the CME gap. So this is actually a bullish scenario where we come fill that, and then you're more likely at this point to have a continuation to the upside rather than swing failing this liquidity and actually turning bearish. So I definitely like what I'm seeing on the chart, but just don't be surprised if we do go ahead and chop within this range that we are creating here on Bitcoin, maybe throughout the weekend or something like that. But yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. If you have any questions about anything I talked about or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Also below that is a link to my VIP Discord, so become a crypto eagle today if you want to learn how to leverage trade. Just click on that link and you can read more about what it offers and decide for yourself if you think it's worth the money, which I do personally think it is. I tried to make something I would actually pay for myself, especially with the 50% off discount that I am running right now, since I'm still in the early phases of my YouTube channel. So use code EARLY and you get it for $20 a month for the next 3 months. And then also in the description down below, you'll find more links, including my exchange partner BingX, which is running a limited time event throughout the month of July for some awesome rewards such as deposit bonuses up to $7,300. So make sure to check that out before time does run out. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.